In this video, we'll learn how to use conversion factors to solve simple problems involving unit analysis. All of these problems in this video are going to focus on this example, converting quarts to gallons and vice versa. But all unit analysis problems are going to follow the same simple rules that we'll talk about in this video. So if there are 4 quarts in a gallon, how many quarts are there in 3 gallons? Now you might be able to think right away about what the answer to this question is. But these questions can get quite tricky sometimes, so let's think very carefully about how we're going to solve this. What we're going to use is something called a conversion factor. Since 1 gallon equals 4 quarts, we can always multiply or divide any quantity involving gallons or quarts by this fraction, 1 gallon over 4 quarts. In fact, we can also multiply or divide by the quantity 4 quarts over 1 gallon. The idea here is that since 4 quarts and 1 gallon are the same thing, dividing one by the other gives us the number 1, and we can always multiply or divide by the number 1 without changing anything. And this is going to be what's going to allow us to convert from quarts to gallons or from gallons to quarts. So let's get back to our original question. How many quarts are in 3 gallons? So our starting quantity is 3 gallons. And so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by one of our conversion factors. Now we have a choice. We can use 1 gallon over 4 quarts, or we can use 4 quarts over 1 gallon. We're going to want to use 4 quarts divided by 1 gallon, and you'll see why in a second. The reason is that when we multiply our quantity 3 gallons by 4 quarts divided by 1 gallon, the gallons are going to divide out. So these gallons and these gallons are going to go away. So what we end up with is 3 times 4 over 1, in other words 3 times 4. There are no more gallons here, we just have quarts. 3 times 4 is 12, and so the answer to our question is 12 quarts. Okay, we're going to do a few more practice problems along these lines. For each of these practice problems, you'll see the problem on the screen. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do the problem on your own, and then play the video and check your answer. So now we want to know how many gallons are in 20 quarts. So again, pause the video, try to do that on your own, and then come back and check to see if you're right. Okay, we have 20 quarts. And again, we have a choice of which conversion factor we want to use. 1 gallon divided by 4 quarts, or 4 quarts divided by 1 gallon. In this case, we want to put the quarts on the bottom, because we want the quarts to divide out. In this case, the quarts go away. We get 20 divided by 4 gallons. We can check that 20 divided by 4 is 5, and so our answer is 5 gallons. Now we want to know how many quarts are in 6.3 gallons. Now it becomes a little bit harder to do these in our head. So again, we're going to start with 6.3 gallons. And again, pause the video, think to yourself which conversion factor you want to use and what the answer is going to turn out to be. But in this case, we're going to want to put the gallons on the bottom and the quarts on the top. So we get 6.3 times 4. 6.3 times 4, that's going to be quarts. And that works out to be 25.2 quarts. All right, one more. Now we want to know how many gallons are in 15.4 quarts. Again, pause the video, try to do it on your own, and then come back and check. Okay, we've got 15.4 quarts. The conversion factor we want to use is going to have quarts on the bottom, so that we get rid of the quarts. Gallons on the top. Now on our calculator, we're going to figure out what 15.4 divided by 4 is, and whatever that tells us, that's how many gallons we have. And that turns out to be 3.85 gallons.